cartoons from present and the past. Every week will be an animated bash. What a cartoon! What a cartoon! Maybe a short but mostly shows. We'll talk, we'll analyze, exploring as we go. What a cartoon! What a cartoon! What a cartoon! What a cartoon!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to What a Cartoon, where our motto is, can Star Wars do this? I'm your host, Film Dio buff Bob Mackey, and this is an audio exploration of every cartoon ever. Who else is here with me today?
Henry Gilbert and Jolly Jeepers, ain't it great?
Who else?
It's Maddie Copp, and my presence is the gift.
It's true. And today's episode is the home movies episode, The Party.
You know what, Mom? What, honey? I don't love you anymore.
Today's episode aired on February 3rd, 2002, and we are diving back into an Adult Swim show. And our new guest here is Maddie Copp. And before we have new guests on, they have to tell us if they're a cop, and she is. So that's out of the way. But Maddie, let us know who you are. Some of our listeners may know who you are based on our Patreon stuff, but you're also a listener to our podcast.
Yeah, some of you might know me from Twitter. I'm Oh That's Raspberry. I've done some artwork. I did the kind of border that you see around every Talking Futurama, or the one you see around every What a Cartoon. So yeah, I'm usually on Twitter posting about One Piece.
You do a really good job of that. And you got me even more into One Piece. But we love home movies, but we let you, since you're in town to record with us, you're sort of on a road trip. We invited you down to record with us, and you decided to do home movies. Can you talk about why?
Yeah, home movies is my favorite show ever. So it was just kind of, and it was just kind of, so it seemed, apropos to pick it. As far as this specific episode, I chose it because I think it kind of represents home movies as a whole, because, it's 4 seasons, and the first season is kind of squiggle vision, and it's like more improv-y, so it's still really good, but it feels kind of different. And then like the 4th season's kind of wacky. So this is kind of right in the middle, and it just like feels like pure home movies.
It is a good middle ground. And can you talk about, we're a bit older than you, so I'm curious as to how you discovered home movies and like Adult Swim and that whole world.
We, like, my family just would watch it at night, and this was one of the shows that we all kind of enjoyed. And I actually remember, I was in like 6th grade when this came out, and there was like another girl in my school who also liked it. And like I was at her birthday party once, and I like brought a VHS of it, and like we were trying to like play it for other people, and then all the other girls were just kind of like, "What are you doing?"
For some reason, that is one of the more embarrassing things to experience. You trying to show something to someone and them just not even engaging with it, just like, I don't care.
Yeah,
get this away from me.
I hate when you have to get extra apologetic. Like, well, okay, this part's, I'll admit it's not as good, but just stick with it. It's good.
Yeah, and you're just like looking at them the whole time, like,
you're missing the jokes.
I had that experience with trying to show people Venture Brothers, and the one I tried to show them was the newest episode that night, which was the season 2 finale, which is all about continuity, and the entire last 2 years was leading to it. And so I'm like, well, okay, this joke won't make sense because you haven't watched every other episode before.
Let me pause it and give you like 10 minutes of explanation, and then we'll keep watching.
Yeah, as for me, a lot of this show is really the battle of who saw what first, which will never get tedious at all, and is not a sign of any sort of insecurity. But we'll talk about the history of the show, but I started watching it on UPN, where it inexplicably started.
Unbelievably.
Yes, I only started watching it on UPN because I was flipping through channels and I heard John Benjamin's voice, and I was like, as a big Dr. Katz fan, I'm like, whoa, this is and seeing the show, I was like, whoa, this is like a new Dr. Katz series. I have to watch this. So I think I followed it through episodes 3 through 5 before it left UPN and left television for 2 years. How about you, Henry?
I hate to sound like we lived the same life.
We did, really.
That really was it. That I was a huge fan of Dr. Katz, and there were other squiggle vision shows on TV, and so I like Science Court, and that was a fun show. But then I was just flipping through channels because obviously UPN was not advertising the show existed in 1998-9. So instead, you just flip through the channels, and it was the Art of the Sucker Punch was the first one I saw, which was also episode 3. So
yeah, me too. That was the one with the bully.
Phillips.
Yeah. Ema Phillips playing a bully. Yes, great.
May
10th was the same time Bob and me discovered that show, and then it was gone 3 weeks later. But I remember just thinking, I was not surprised it was canceled because the Dr. Katz feel and the squiggle vision feel, it barely is popular on a cable channel that's poorly watched. Like on a wannabe network like UPN, that show's not gonna do well.
Yeah, I honestly don't even remember what UPN was. So.
Ooh, it used to be one part of the CW.
It's one half of CW. It combined with the WB to create the CW. Its biggest hits were Star Trek. Its first big hit was Star Trek Voyager.
Okay.
And boy, what else was big on that show? Oh, like
did they get wrestling or was that the WB?
Moesha.
Okay.
And also yes, WWF SmackDown was
right.
big on
Okay.
that show.
Yeah, but what have we discovered what CW stands for? I still don't know.
I always just think it's like Cartoon Network, and then I'm like, wait, no, it's not.
Cartoon Wet Work. So let's go into the history of home movies. It's pretty interesting. So it ran from April 26, 1999. That's when it started on UPN. Technically, it ran to April 4th, 2004. There was like an 18-month gap there between networks, but 52 episodes, not bad for a cheap cable-ish show to run. Like we said before, only the first 5 aired on UPN rather. Though I couldn't find the production history of this show in great detail. It seems like they did make 13 because I don't understand why they would go to Adult Swim and then do 8 Squiggle Vision episodes and then just start over with an entire new animation suite. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just a 13 episode order. I mean, that happens all the time. I was just hearing about this animated series called Murder Police, which there's a podcaster I really like who talks about how unsuccessful he was as a writer, and he's like, I wrote for this one show, we did 13 episodes for Fox, and then they just didn't do it. They're like, nah, I'm not putting it up. We paid for it. We don't care.
It's the same fate as Sammy. Look it up, kids. The ill-fated David Spade animated sitcom. I think 2 episodes aired. Still looking for Sammy. Hasn't happened yet. So this is part of as we talked about before. It's part of the Dr. Katz Science Court universe. Maddie, are you familiar with that world, the Squiggle Vision universe?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely came to it after home movies, but I eventually ended up watching all of Dr. Katz, and yeah, it's a lot of the same voice actors, and a lot of just kind of the same feel. Science Court I actually haven't ever watched before, though.
It's fun.
Yeah, I watched some clips of it on YouTube for the first time while doing research, and I was like, this is good, but when they have to stop to actually show you diagrams of things with H. John Benjamin narrating about how the Earth turns, it kind of slows down a little bit.
But that's what pays the bills,
yeah.
Man. It's kind of like the bridge show from Dr. Katz to this because it had Paula Poundstone on it first, and also Bill Broadus was a bigger part of it production-wise than he was on Dr. Katz, I believe.
That's true. So let's get into the cast and some of the people behind it. Number 1 is Brendan Small, and this is this is his big breakout role. Breakout being he was part of a very small TV show, but it got him so much more work after this. So he graduated from the Berklee College of Music, a very prestigious music college in Boston. That's also where we talked about Liam Lynch, famous sock puppeteer, director, very creative guy, graduated from there. Brendan Small decided to go into comedy, and that is where producer Lauren Bouchard saw him perform at somewhere in Harvard, and he was like, I want you to be my starring character in my show I'm developing. So what an amazing bout of luck he had there.
Just plucked from obscurity, like, oh, you're a new guy. You'll make this show. And I love stories of Brendan Small talking about his school time that he's like, oh yeah, I learned how to play amazing heavy metal guitar licks right when no one cared and it was the least cool thing you could do. Like, oh, Nirvana just got huge. I'm going to play like Metallica.
Yeah.
Actually, sorry, Maddie.
Oh, no, I was just going to say it's really neat. Home movies, obviously, Brendan Small did it more with Metalocalypse where he put his music into it. But home movies, you definitely, all the music is written by him. And it's, you get that feel of him as a musician, especially in the Franz Kafka rock opera where you get that metal from him.
And it's I mean, I love Metalocalypse and the music in that, but this is much more eclectic. He's doing all kinds of different stuff. Maybe they ask him to do too much stuff because he's making all the music for one series and lots of songs. But yeah, he did Metalocalypse after that. He does a lot of voice acting now, like on the Venture Brothers. He's Sergeant Hatred and a few other characters. You can hear him in so much stuff, especially Comedy Bang Bang, my favorite episodes is where he's playing two characters, Tiny and Lester, and I believe Tiny's the guy who talk like this. Yeah, he uses that voice a lot in his stuff.
Yeah, no, it's like the Adelbergs, like the foreign characters in home movies have a similar voice.
Tiny talk like this.
Yes, but him going back and forth between those two characters is so great. One is a manager and one is a failed musician, and I believe Tiny is the one who always passes out when he sings.
Yeah.
I think those characters are still around. It's been a while since I checked in, but man, listen, if you like Brendan Small being crazy, listen to those episodes of Comedy Bang Bang. He's really great.
He also has a third voice that comes with them called occasionally called Willie, who has a vocal fry that drives Scott Aukerman crazy. He's like crazy. He's like, what do you mean?
Yeah, Brendan Small is amazing, and I don't know if he's really developed anything since Metalocalypse.
Well, he does. He's been doing like these rock operas. I think they're called like Galacticon or something.
Okay.
I think he's done 2 of those. So they're just like CDs, but it's more of his like, kind of the music thing that he wants to do.
And I'm just speaking off the top of my head here, but I think like Metalocalypse was sort of robbed of the finale he wanted to have. Is that true? Do we remember this at all?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know.
Yeah, it got like a kind of movie-esque thing, I think, at the end to tie it up. So I don't know if that's what he wanted or if there was more, if that was kind of like the middle ground that they agreed on.
Yeah, it could be. But on that show, doesn't he voice every member of the band?
No, he voices 3. So it's he does Nathan Explosion and Pickles and Squiscar, I think.
Okay.
And then another guy does Toki and Murderface.
That's still a lot of voices.
Yeah,
and they're all very
it's
different.
crazy. Well, especially it's one of those shows where it's like half the time he's talking to himself.
Yeah. So that's Brendan Small. Again, he's still out there. He's still doing stuff. I don't know if he's got another show in him, but I love hearing his voice and things. It's great to hear him pop up, especially and also, of course, H. John Benjamin.
Yeah.
Which, like, that is why I was attracted to the show in the first place, because his voice was, especially on Dr. Katz. So it was like a real curiosity for me to see this show, because on Dr. Katz, he played this just sweet loser, this very sweet loser in his 20s with like no ambition, but he was just a very friendly, affable guy. But Coach McGurk is just like a mean drunk who thinks he knows everything. It's like the exact opposite of Ben. It's like, that's what's like, wow, this is so different, even though it's the same voice.
Yeah, well, and definitely for me, that's another reason why I love home movies so much, is I kind of think it's personally, I think it's the best thing that all the people involved have ever done. So it's my favorite thing H. John Benjamin has ever done. It's my favorite thing Brendan Small has done. It's my favorite thing Lauren Bouchard has done.
Yeah, and so after this, he has just basically become a all-purpose voice actor, although he does the one voice and it's his voice,
right.
But no one else has a delivery like him. So obviously Bob's Burgers and Archer, those are the 2 mega series that he is the main character of, but he pops up in everything. Like in our What a Cartoon for Venture Brothers, he plays Cerberus.
He is the master who taught Dr. Orpheus everything, but he's just such an amazing voice. You just hear it and you're just like, I'm watching this. I just love, because you know what you're getting. Also because he seems almost uncontrollable. Like, well, even if I have a script in front of me, I'm me. He's always going to be John Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I was wrong. I'm kind of wrong in that he does more than one voice, and then his other voice, and this is Jason, which it's pitched way up, but it's a different performance.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Yeah.
And he does, and then he also does either Walter or Perry. Him and Brendan do them, and like they don't even know which ones they do. They're like, on the commentaries, they kind of like are like, I don't know.
They might switch up, but it's a very simple voice. It's stop up here. Hi, Walter, Perry.
No, I love John Benjamin, especially too on those commentaries. He is hilarious. He is so funny because he does not care. He has no particular like love for his old stuff, and he even will just joke about like, God, this sucks, or he tells these great self-deprecating stories. On one of the Dr. Katz one was one of my favorites, where he was recording a local ad for, this is like mid-90s, he's recording a local New York ad for like a beer for radio, and when he's recording, the technician guy's like, hey, sound like that Dr. Katz guy, and he's like, well, actually I am on that. He's like, yeah, right, buddy, you wouldn't be doing this, like, no way.
So yeah, one thing that's really, the home movies commentaries are really kind of unique because they're not like most commentaries where it's the people talking about the show. It's mostly just them in a room with each other, just kind of being stupid. Like one of the episodes, I think it's Time to Pay the Price. Brendan Small just like is playing like a song on his guitar. He's making up like for like 80% of the commentary track.
Yeah, the H. John Benjamin ones are so great. I think on one he's pretending he's on his like cruise ship. He named Kickin' Back. But yeah, the Dr. Katz commentaries, we're veering off topic, but the Dr. Katz commentaries are so candid, and I don't know if the comedians actually want those out there. I was watching Ray Romano was on one, and he was on Dr. Katz before he was huge, and he's telling like semi-dirty jokes on Dr. Katz, like about masturbating in the shower. He's like, oh, I wish I could tell these jokes. I can't do it now. It's because he has a family show and does family comedy. He hasn't really updated his comedy for 30 years. So.
My favorite of candid story, well, there's two favorite candid stories on there. One was that they just reveal like, oh no, Laura Silverman and Ben were dating while the show began, and then they actually said that they had better chemistry. They think they had better chemistry as actors when they were not dating. But the other story is they say one of the comedians who was, because they recorded it in the house of the owner of
like in his pantry, yeah.
And he said that the owner of it said that one of the comedians who did the show did drugs in front of his kids. So
I could probably guess, but I won't say.
Yeah, they didn't say.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all thinking Mitch Hedberg, right?
Yeah. You said it. The dead can't sue you. So yeah, that's H. John Benjamin. Again, like, you know who he is, you know where he is.
He's the greatest. I'm so glad he's getting cast and stuff now. It felt like he was this secret that you only knew if you watched home movies of Dr. Katz, which felt like 8 people. Then when I finally started hearing his voice like on Family Guy, when he was like the 7-Eleven manager on Family Guy, I was like, all right, maybe he's finally going to get somewhere with this.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't really carry a live action show, but so many of those Comedy Central shows get canceled super quick. So was H. John Benjamin Has a Van, was that it?
Yeah, that show was great.
I didn't see a second of it.
Oh, like his live action stuff is really funny. And on the home movies DVDs have like some of these like random things like thrown in, and there's this one called like Baby Pranks.
I was thinking of that actually, yeah.
It's just like him like playing pranks on babies, and it's just so stupid, but it's really funny.
The Brendan Small ones are really good. He plays this like heavy metal guitarist that teaches you these amazing riffs. He's like, just do this, and then he plays like an amazing riff that no one could possibly do. It's that easy.
Yeah.
So another person who worked on the show, and he should have came first in these notes, but it's Lauren Bouchard, the creator, obviously, and his story is pretty amazing too. Almost as good as Brendan Small's. He dropped out of high school and was a bartender at a local bar, I believe in Boston, and Tom Snyder came in, and I guess Tom Snyder used to be his teacher, because Tom Snyder was a teacher. Tom Snyder of Soup to Nuts, who made Dr. Katz. And Tom was like, oh yeah, Lauren, you used to do some really great art. Can you draw some characters for this pilot I'm working on? And that's how he got into Dr. Katz, by drawing the original art for the pilot, what would become Dr. Katz.
Wow.
Awesome.
But yeah, so kids, drop out of school and start working a bar, and maybe someone will help you, find a cartoon to make with them.
Oh man, and now he's an executive producer on Bob's Burgers, which is in like season 8
with Jim Doughtry.
Yeah, Jim Doughtry. Now Lauren Bouchard is he's, I don't want to say lucky, but I believe he worked hard for that stuff, but he is like blessed in his position there too. Same with Brendan Small. Like Brendan Small he'd never been, that's what confused me, because I knew everybody else who appeared on home movies when I first watched it on UPN. I was like, well, yeah, Emo Phillips, he's on Dr. Katz. I hear all these other people, but Brendan Small, I'm like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah, he literally came out of nowhere, but what a talent. Yeah, so
he was also at the time of the first season roommates with Eugene Merman before he was even famous.
Oh, wow.
And that's why he wrote a character of Eugene on the show to pee in a drink.
In the camping episode, which I think maybe the last one to air on UPN. It might have been.
I think so. I think it's 5.
But Lauren did make another show between Bob's Burgers and home movies, and that was Lucy, Daughter of the Devil, which I had seen the pilot, but by the time the series was on the air, I was no longer regularly watching Adult Swim, so I can't really comment about how it is. It's kind of some awkward CGI, but it is John Benjamin and Melissa Galsky, from home movies interacting with each other for the entire show.
And also John Glazer, who's really good too.
Yeah, he's awesome.
But Melissa, let's talk about Melissa. She has such great chemistry with John Benjamin because each can bully each other so well.
Oh, yeah. No, the reactions, like the conversations between Melissa and Coach McGurk are definitely some of the best in the series.
And I like her deliveries because she's not a comedian, so her delivery is very naturalistic, and it bounces well off of these crazy voices like McGurk and Jason and Brendan. Like, I think she plays off of all of them very well.
And I think, too, that she was another person who did not get into acting. She was like an employee at Soup to Nuts who then got part of the team because she just works so well off of them and like practice runs. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it's all these stories are like, this is not how you make a network TV show.
No.
These break every single rule.
Right.
This is not being
produced. I mean, that's probably why it's so good and special.
Yeah, it's not being produced in Atlanta or Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's being produced in Boston. I think it is actually. I'm not entirely sure. But so other people, I think we've covered them all, really. Those are the main characters, but a lot of comedians rotate in and out. Sam Cedar is Fenton in this episode, and he has the Majority Report. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a leftist talk
evil
show.
liberal lefty who briefly was fired from MSNBC when alt-right dudes tried to defame him, and then he got hired back. That's the most recent thing with Sam Cedar in the news. But what I love about Sam Cedar is that he plays off John Benjamin so well because they both have this kind of like mean older brother mentality with each other. They're just like, I'm the older brother. No, I'm the older brother.
Well, it's interesting in this episode because Fenton sounds different in this episode than he does in later episodes, and it's still Sam Cedar, and I don't know if he just kind of he's kind of like whinier and a higher voice in later ones, and I don't know if he kind of chose to change his voice that way or if they pitched it up like they do with the other characters.
I think they all forgot to what they sound
Yeah,
like.
what does his voice sound like? And they had other people on before they were like huge megastars. Unfortunately, they had Louis C.K. on. That used to be a cool little fact.
Then.
Yeah, I mean he was doing things then that were unfortunate, but they didn't really come out into the public. So I mean that used to be a cool thing. Like, wow, Louis C.K. is Brendan's dad in the show.
Well, it's the same with like Dr. Katz because he was on that as well.
Yeah, a lot.
And timing wise, unfortunate was Paula Poundstone.
Yes, thanks for mentioning that. I nearly forgot.
Yeah, she was in the first season of the show playing Paula Small, the mom, and that's also why Paula Poundstone has adopted kids, and so that's why their daughter is adopted.
The weird like coconut head baby.
Josie.
Yeah.
But in between season 1 and 2, she stopped doing the show. And she is somebody who 9/11 was kind to her because she was in the news for a scandal, which I think she was found not guilty of.
It was like drinking and child endangerment and a lot of messy things.
But it like her court date was on September 11th, and everyone then.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, wow.
But so she was replaced for the remainder of the show by Janine DeTulio, who. Nobody even remember. Like, I feel like everybody still thinks it's Paula Poundstone when they watch the show.
Well, I think partly because of the name too.
Yeah.
It kind of just makes more sense.
Well, because everybody else is called the name of their person,
right?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of miss Paula Poundstone. I like Janine a lot, but Paula Poundstone has a very unique delivery. And but I think it's Janine, right?
Yeah.
She really picked up the torch and ran with it, or however that metaphor goes. But yeah, I mean, that's why I like the show a lot upon watching it because like I was a little like nerd jerk with a single mom who was rough around the edges and no dad. So like I love the relationship between the two, the mom and the son on the show so much. It's very sweet.
Yeah. Well, they do a good job, and you can tell in this episode as well of. Like Brendan still acts like a kid at some point, even though it's an adult and he's interacting with all these adults. They'll still kind of put in little things that remind you that he's only like 8 years old.
Like he's playing with his toys and making them talk to each other and things like that. So Home Movies was and is a sweet, warm show that unfortunately did not really fit in with the tone of Adult Swim. And that was apparent really early on where after, I believe, season 2, they really booted the show off of the main Adult Swim lineup when it was like, by 2003, Home Movies was in its third and fourth season. In 2003, guess what else happened? Futurama and Family Guy on Adult Swim. Get the fuck out, Home Movies.
There's no space for Home Movies then.
So, unfortunately, that meant I missed almost all of season 3 and 4 until the DVDs came out because I didn't know where to find them.
I tried to make time for it, but it was like on late and very randomly. I think I didn't watch the entirety of season 4 until the DVD either. And I got the DVDs. I think that's really when I rediscovered home movies because I liked it, but it wasn't appointment viewing for me just because there were so many other things on. But once I got the DVDs, that's when I truly was like, oh man, this is amazing. Especially like when I played the show, like I'm not denigrating the animation on it, but it's also great if you don't look at the screen ever, and it's just an awesome radio play.
Yeah,
that's sorry, go ahead.
No, and that's what I loved about it. When I could just put it on, put a disc in, and be like, I'm gonna just play a video game and listen.
I had a similar experience actually. I was telling Maddie this earlier. Like before the era of DVD commentaries, really, and before the era of podcasts, definitely. What I would do was I had an Adult Swim tape. And I would record like every week of Adult Swim on it. And then when I was like playing games or something, I would just put the audio for that tape on and listen to it because most of those shows did not need animation.
Right.
So I know the audio of this so well because I probably heard it like, I don't know, 20 times, just going through the tape over and over again, playing like JRPGs. So that was my lonely, nerdy experience in my early 20s. I apologize.
Well, the animation too, it was a Squiggle Vision show in the first season. And then by the time they got to the second season, like, why are we doing this? This is ugly.
Yeah, no, they've talked about that on the commentary when they watched these, and it wasn't like super cheap either. So they were like, why did we do this? It was ugly and it was like expensive. But yeah, they moved to Flash, and I think they're one of the earliest Flash shows as well.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, as far as like off the internet.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I do like Squiggle Vision because there are like certain limitations. And it's interesting to see how they work within them. But sometimes you just want to see things move in more than 2 frames. Like Squiggle Vision, you can do 2 frames in one like piece of art at a time, and that's all you can do. So it can be very jarring. And it was also made for an SD TV world. And at this point in time, we're transitioning out of that. So in the cold light of day, it's not a good looking show on your modern non-fuzzy TV.
Yeah, the first, folks, just get the first season DVD and listen to the first episode commentary because they are savage to the first episode. They're like, this first episode sucks. We wrote half of it. And then just when we got picked up for the pilot, we're like, I guess we better write 7 more minutes of this. And on it, John Benjamin is just like, when will this he's like, when will this end? Come on. And they just shit all over Squiggle Vision there. They're just like, well, it's stupid and it's ugly, but it's ours. It's ours.
They patented it, and that in retro scripting or whatever. So I guess we can talk about that too. The first season was more like Dr. Katz in that they had a topic that they kind of joked around and improv'd around, and it was less structured. And it was still fun. I mean, Dr. Katz really, they built stories out of improv, but with seasons 2 and 3 and 4, they will get a lot more structured, but there was still like very naturalistic delivery, and that is something that was really unlike anything on TV and still is. That's why shows like Dr. Katz stuck out. As a kid watching Dr. Katz, I'm like, they talk like people. They don't talk like cartoon characters or like sitcom characters.
Yeah, there's just such good chemistry between the entire cast that it works really well.
Yeah, like especially Jonathan Katz is in the show too, not in this episode playing Melissa's dad, but him and H. John Benjamin, like their relationship was so beautiful and so sweet and so loving, and it just felt so real. You know? Yeah,
that I think John Benjamin joked with Katz that like during the making of that show, you were closer to me than my real father. Much closer.
He's probably working through a lot with his fake dad.
and also too on the show, that openness led to funny things of like they would be handed the script and that Brendan or Bill Broadus wrote, which he was one of the main people as a writer on the show, and he's like he would do voices here and there, but they tell the story. They would write a script where someone would do something that would be kind of out of character for them, and then Benjamin, especially as McGurk or Jason, would go like, why would I do this thing I would never do? This is stupid. Why would I do this? And they would just keep it in the show because it was funny.
That's great.
Anything else we need to cover in terms of history or any other tidbits? I'm trying to think of anything else. I did want to mention Jonathan Katz is in the show. He was
Ron Lynch. Ron Lynch.
It's the list is. I mean, like they might be giants or guests on one of the episodes, and Oh, I can't remember Andy something. The guy that plays Mr. Lindenson.
Andy Kindler.
Yeah.
Andy Kindler.
That's great.
As soon as possible, ASAP, or as soon as possible if you can. A sample effect.
That's definitely that's Andy Kindler being himself.
Yeah, it's
Mr. Mendelsohn,
so
right?
good.
No, yeah, I was glad they wrote more real scripts for it though, because otherwise, retroscripting works good if you need 6 minutes of a plot for a Dr. Katz around stand-up. But if you need a 22-minute plot, you might need a realer script for that kind of thing. And I think this episode is really good that it shows where the show is graduating to. And I think season 3 is the most like complete season before it gets too wacky in season 4.
Season 4 is definitely crazy. Like it's it's great in its own way, but it kind of like the theme of that season is like Brendan kind of starts getting disinterested in making films, and so he starts doing other stuff like doing plays and joining the Skunk Scouts and kind of like
reviews.
And so that's kind of the theme of that season. But it goes like into super wacky town, like the camp episode. I mean,
I did like the movie review episode because I was writing DVD reviews at the time, and I felt a lot like Brendan at the time. I've grown up a lot.
$75 per review.
I got paid with the DVD that I got to keep. That's basically how it works. Moviewienerorwinner.com.
Did you start all your reviews with "in conclusion"?
No, but I should have. It could have been my gimmick.
On the commentaries too, they joke about how the 4th season they knew from the beginning they were getting canceled, even though Cartoon Network wasn't completely clear on it. And they had a funny story on there too of them saying like the Cartoon Network told them, or Adult Swim told them, well, no, we only do 52 episodes. We don't go over. And you guys reached it. And they're like, yeah, like they easily went over 52 with Adult Swim. If it's a popular show,
I think there's more than 52 Aqua Teens.
Yeah. If it's a popular show, they don't just stop because they're like, well, we're at 52. That's the rule.
Those are the TV rules. We can't break them. So that's all the history of home movies. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back with the full episode exploration. Hello, everybody. It's the freshly back from Japan, Bob Mackey, here with the commercial break on our free feed, and I've got a special guest with me today. Who is here?
Hey, it's Henry Gilbert. I'm such a fan of video films and free podcast ads.
I like film deos. I think that was my favorite on this one. But yes, this is our commercial break, and we use it to advertise us because we have so much going on. But first, I want to say thank you again to Maddie Copp. She was on 2 episodes of our podcast in the same week, and they're both great, so check out the other one. On our Patreon. It's only on our Patreon, so that's just one of the 150 podcasts you can get that you probably haven't heard if you're not on our Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/Talking Simpsons, that is where you can get all the episodes of What a Cartoon a week ahead of time and ad-free, as well as Talking Simpsons. And that podcast I was talking about that Maddie was on, if you like her on this one, she did a special One Piece spoiler-free podcast with us that goes into the history of One Piece, and we sort of break down why it's good and why you should read it and why you should not be afraid of it. And I thought that was great.
Yeah, I liked going into it too as a neophyte to One Piece who only knows a little tiny bit about it, and chatting with you guys and seeing your obvious love for such a long-running, like incredibly long-running series. And also that podcast was fun because I think it's the only podcast where we truly dove into your reactions to your first trip to Tokyo.
Yeah, I tell quite a few stories about going to the Shonen Jump exhibit at the Mori Museum in Japan and going to the One Piece exhibit at Tokyo Tower, and just generally my fun times in Japan. I miss it so much. I miss canned coffee and cheap sushi. That's delicious. My mouth is watering as I'm saying cheap sushi, by the way. But yes, so if you go to our Patreon, again, that's patreon.com/Talking patreon.com/Talking Simpsons. You'll get that podcast, but also so many more. I'll tell you about all the stuff you'll get if you sign up at the $5 level. You'll get all of Talking Critic. That's 23 episodes of Talking Critic using our signature podcast style. We did the entire first season of Futurama using our signature style in which we get clips and we go deep into the research with all the references. I mean, you know what we do. And if you like What a Cartoon, you like Talking Simpsons, you'll love the other Talking series, and there's more to come, and those will only be on Patreon. Henry, what else have we done recently? We got some big guests recently.
Oh man, we have had such big guests recently on our interviews that are exclusively on the Patreon. Though you can hear a free preview of them on the Talking Simpsons feed. But some of them include Mike Reese, who has been working on The Simpsons for 30 years. He just wrote a book called Springfield Confidential, and we chat for a whole hour with him about funny stories and even the dirt behind the scenes on The Simpsons.
Yeah, he was on the show from the very beginning, the first season, and he co-ran the show in seasons 3 and 4 with Al Jean, and he was only not in the writer's room for 2 years.
I know. And also David Silverman, another Simpsons legend who has been with the show since the very, very, very beginning as one of the animators on the shorts. And we also do season wrap-ups. We're actually getting close to a season 7 wrap-up right now. And we also do a monthly community podcast where me and Bob go over Simpsons news and other animation news of the last month and go over some of our favorite comments that are on the Patreon. You get access to all that for just $5 a month. And hey, at $10 a month, you get access to a premium exclusive monthly video.
That's right. And this is our jobs, by the way. This is all we do for a living. So any amount of support will help us. And we have more goals that we want to meet, like another miniseries for this year, a movie-specific podcast for animated movies, and possibly a third miniseries per year. So yes, if you want to see us do even more cool stuff, check out the Patreon at patreon.com/Talking Simpsons. But as for us, we're going to get out of here. Enjoy the rest of the home movies. What a Cartoon.
Be careful if you get him pissed. Franz Kafka. He'll smite you with metaphor fists. Right now he can. He's just a man. A warrior of words taking a stand. He grew up very poor. His feelings to the core. Born in 1883, died in 1924. He is Franz Kafka.
So we are back, and this episode begins with an anime battle as best portrayed with this Flash style animation. I will say, again, they're working within different limitations, but I like what they do with this art. I didn't capture any of this because it's all just screaming.
Yeah.
And it's all visual.
Screaming.
Yeah.
They love screaming so much.
But it ends with Melissa punching Brendan Small in the crotch, and that's the joke.
I don't like when he turns purple. It's like sometimes in this episode multiple times I'm like, man, the animators took liberties with this and not a good one. But they weren't getting too much direction. It seemed like they're like, well, I especially feel bad for the animators that there were so many times. They joke about that on the commentary too all the times. It went like, ew. And they don't say what they're looking at. They just go like, oh yeah, look at this. Ew. And they're like, well, someone will draw it, whatever.
I feel like they didn't have a really good liaison between the, writing and animation team.
Yeah.
They're sort of left to their own devices. But it's called Home Movies because Brendan films movies, and this is sort of a ninja movie. But after the filming, they start talking about the main plot, which is Fenton's party.
But it happened so fast.
Jason, what are you getting Fenton for his birthday?
Oh, right. Fenton's party. I got him an eraser. It looks like a little football. It sounds great. It has a dual function.
What does it do other than erase?
You can play catch with it.
Oh.
You can almost do that with anything.
But it's shaped like a football, right?
Melissa, what'd you get him?
I got him a CD.
That's stupid.
You could also play catch with it. Brendan, what'd you get him?
Nothing.
Big fat zero, huh?
Yeah.
How come? You're going to his party, right?
I was invited, but,
What's the matter? Don't you like him?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know him. I mean, you guys know him. I only know him from soccer.
And in this first season of the show, Jason was kind of a different character. He was sort of like the gross out character where he had a lot of health problems and he was just a weirdo. But as they develop the show more, he sort of becomes a kind of a prima donna, but also like a genius. But he still like has a lot of social issues too.
Yeah, This is the closest the return to gross Jason in this episode, with him covered in chocolate in most scenes.
Yeah,
it is a sort of a Chekhov's pudding cup, because it's signaling his upcoming sugar addiction he goes through.
That was the thing that did turn me off to it in the first UPN shows, because they really leaned into like Jason picks his nose. Let's have that be the commercial break. It's like, ugh, this is disgusting.
Yeah,
and he's got cradle cap.
Especially the first episode, I think it's just like Jason talking about his health problems.
Yeah, he's got a urinary tract infection
but
too.
Yeah, no, in this one, like there's this part where like they kind of say all these lines, and afterwards Jason says, "Oh, that was a haiku," and it actually wasn't, but it's still like there is that kind of weird like intellectual side of Jason that like comes out every once in a while.
I counted the syllables and he was wrong.
Yeah, I think I count it every time I rewatch it, and I like really want it to be a haiku, but there's like no way to make it work.
And I love when Jason gets extra critical of Brendan's productions, of just like, well, if you're gonna make it actually a Hitchcock parody, you really actually need a blonde. Okay, it's otherwise white bottom.
Right.
I like how movie savvy he is sometimes. Like he's negotiating with Brendan about like a contract. He's like, I want points. I want points.
What did I tell you about the points?
Yeah. But yes, so this kicks off the entire story. Fenton Muley is a little shitty kid who everyone hates, and you'll hear a lot of him screaming. I've got a lot of those clips.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason I picked this episode, is it's really relatable. I think we all kind of had that experience when you're a kid, and there's this kid that you really don't like, and somehow you get like forced into social events with him. So.
Yeah, I'm happy I wasn't one of those kids. I would often be like in the same area as them, and just like, oh no.
Well, it reminds me of that gag on The Simpsons of just like, well, Bart, you should hang out with him. He doesn't have many friends. There's a reason. Like, though I fear that a couple times I was the kid. I was the Fenton in these situations. I don't think I was a bad kid, though I was certainly, in my many stories of all the toys I had as a kid, I was spoiled by a mom for sure, but I don't think I was Fenton. If I ever was, I regret it now. But I was on the other side of being the Fenton of just like, I don't like this person. Why is it just because we're both kids, we're both kids and you invited me to a sleepover, I have to do it? Like the sequel episode to this with the sleepover and Fenton's naked mom. Is
one of my favorites.
Yeah, and it's a similar thing of just like, you suck and I can't get away from you. I'm just trapped.
I like how they keep bringing up how this connection Brendan has with Fenton, and that they were locked out of school for half an hour. That's like such a great story. And he's like,
all he did was whine.
Yeah, it comes up a few times, but it's like that's what every adult talks about. Like, you had that great experience together. It's just like, no, it sucked, and I barely even talked to him.
Remember it? It's such a funny story. Like, no, it isn't.
So Fenton's mom, Trudy Muley, shows up, and she's got a favor to ask of Brendan after a very awkward encounter with Paula, who doesn't get her name right.
Brendan?
Hi.
Brendan.
Hi.
I have a favor to ask.
Oh.
I know you're the one who does the filming videos, and I was wondering if you would do a birthday tribute to Fenton and show it at his birthday party.
Oh, so how much are you looking to spend?
Brendan.
What I meant to say was, okay, the party's in 2 days.
Oh, thank you so much. You're such a sweet, wonderful person. Thank you. Oh, Fenton will be so grateful.
I have to leave now.
I mean, I love throughout this whole episode, you hear both Fenton and his mom like mistakenly refer to film as like there's 4 different ways. So they have filming video, they have video film, they have film video, and my favorite, film dio.
Film dio. That's why I chose that for my opening line. It's great. It's a great little quirk. I don't know where it came from, but I just like the video film. Oh man.
And that's Paula Plum is Trudy Muley.
Okay,
she's great. I love the exchange between her and Paula of just like, oh hey, Truly Muley. It's Trudy.
It's a tricky wiki one.
Yeah, it's a tricky wiki one. Like, well, thanks, Paul. It's Paula.
It's
like,
it's very.
Get out.
She's very sweet and supportive, but I feel like she knows she got away with something, which she's like, I have to go now.
She's very well aware of that. I also. Another thing I love on the show is when they remember that they're kids, and it feels like my childhood. I told so many stories with my action figures. Like, I had like recurring storylines like, well, Spider-Man's in this adventure today, or I recast every He-Man character as a pro wrestler because I didn't have enough good pro wrestlers.
That sounds like a very Henry thing to do.
Yes, yeah.
So we are now at the soccer game, and it's been called off because they're losing by 20 goals after 10 minutes.
minutes.
In 10 minutes.
Yes. And there's a great, I don't have this exchange because I can't get every clip, but there's a great exchange between Melissa and McGurk. Again, McGurk is a huge bully, and Melissa's almost on the verge of tears here.
Yeah, I love him telling her, like, I was the only one out there playing like my legs didn't work today. I'm using my legs for the first time. Melissa.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. But I love when like Coach is kind of like yelling at all the kids. It's like, how could you lose by 20 goals in 10 minutes? And then at the end he's like, you guys played a good game.
Yeah.
Like,
He realizes ultimately it doesn't matter. It's not worth getting mad about.
It's kids soccer.
I think one of my favorite Coach McGurk lines of being angry was, I think it was the final of the first season where he's forced to take anger management classes.
Yeah.
And he's saying like, what if I went out there with a rickshaw, ran you around, huh? Like, right? Welcome to China, Melissa.
I love McGurk. But here he's getting invited to Fenton's party.
Bye, everybody. See you at my party.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Fenton. Waddle out of here. Played a good game.
Thanks.
Not really. And thanks again for the invite.
What's that, Coach McGurk?
It's an invitation, Brendan. Fenton invited me to his party.
Are you going to a kid's party?
Of course I'm not going, Brendan. You know, it's nice to be invited, you know?
Right.
You know, it's nice to feel wanted. It's nice to have someone say to you, we enjoy your company. Please come and share with us a special day. Touches the heart.
Is that what your invitation says?
Actually, it says, Jolly Jeepers, ain't it great? Fenton Muley's turning 8. Eat some ice cream, eat some cake. Jeepers, jolly, ain't it great? Wow. That's awful.
His voice, that's awful is not even a great joke, but him saying that's awful, I can't even replicate it. It's so perfect. That tag is great.
Yeah, I think this episode is like one of the ones I remember like quoting the most, and for the first one I really started quoting a lot with my family. And yeah, this whole card is just like such a part of like my family's humor.
And you get a real sense for how well they're working together in doing this improv. I'm sure there's a point they're trying to arrive at, but Brendan stays out of the way of John Benjamin. He's like, what's the card say? Like, he's not trying to jump in and make jokes. He realizes his relationship in the show with this character. So I feel like that's why it works so well.
Yeah, it's perfect.
If I may make a guess here, I think when McGurk says to Fenton to waddle out of here,
yes,
I think he wanted them to draw his character fatter, because there's a funny thing on the first season commentaries. They talk about how Benjamin says out loud, describing Ron Lynch's character, just like, you with your pencil mustache and blonde hair, and he's like, and then that's when Ron Lynch realized, like, he just defined what my character looks like with just this line. Like, it's like it is an improv power move by John Benjamin.
I'm gonna make you draw this now.
Yeah.
We get a very sweet scene between Paula and Brendan next, and they're eating sloppy joes. Brendan is I like all of the little movements they're doing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this show is definitely not known for really great animation, but in this scene in particular, it's like all these kind of little things they're doing on the sidelines. Like, you have Brendan, he's like making his chocolate milk, and then he like is like putting chocolate syrup on his sloppy joe, and he like at one point he's like spooning something, and then like Paula's keeps like dripping, and then you have like kind of just like Josie kind of like wiggling around like a baby in the background.
It's great. Yeah, these are touches they don't need to make, but I feel like the animators were given a lot of free reign. Sometimes the performers and writers didn't like that, but they're thinking like, what can we do with this dialogue at this table? Like, we need things happening in the scene, and they figured out some fun little bits to do with the food. So Paula is encouraging Brendan to make the video, and again pointing out, like, you guys were stuck outside of school together. And then like Brendan just launches into what's a birthday suit? I was told I had to wear a birthday suit, and it's explained. Did you grow up with that joke, like, make sure you wear your birthday suit or whatever?
I think I heard it the first time I learned the term birthday suit was from a Tiny Toons. It was It was the Twilight Zone one where Hampton had walk home naked, and he ends up back home. He thinks like, "Phew, I'm alone." And then they're celebrating a birthday party for him, and then everybody's like, "Surprise! Whoa!" And then he's like, "Happy birthday!" He's like, "Good thing I'm in my birthday suit."
And if you were born in 1940, you know what that meant.
Yeah, and I just love Brendan like trying to convince his mom that him going there is the gift. He's like, isn't my being there the gift?
my presence is the present.
Yeah, I do think that's how adults mostly feel about birthday parties now. Like I came out.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go someplace. I'm a grown up now.
I'm in my 30s, and usually at a grown up birthday party, I'm the only person that brings a gift, and I feel like sort of shame, like I took it too seriously. It's like, but it's a birthday.
You embarrassed everybody else by giving a gift.
Yeah,
you cared too much.
I have some disposable income. I've shown too many cards. So we go from the birthday suit conversation to Brendan in his birthday suit doing some like stand up as his first attempt at Fenton's video. So he's naked except for a little piece of paper over his privates, and this is his stand up, which is terrible.
Well, so today is Fenton Muley's birthday. Okay. What kind of a name is Fenton anyway? Sounds like a kind of drug you take to keep from scratching. Honk, scratch. Speaking of scratching, Fenton is so ugly. You look up the word ugly in the dictionary, you see Fenton, it says see Fenton. I don't want to see him. He's too ugly. Honk, honk. Hey, here's a little note, Fenton. When your mother tells you to eat your greens, she doesn't mean pick your nose. Honk. Whenever I see Fenton at soccer, he's usually whining about something. I think my arm's broken. I think my leg's broken. I think my neck's broken. Hey, I think your record's broken. Honk, honk. Hey, here's a little story. One time, Fenton and I got locked out of school for 30 minutes, and guess what Fenton did the whole time? Whined. Honk, honk. But I kid. Hey, if Fenton falls in the forest and no one around to hear him, does he still whine? Honk, honk. Hey, Fenton, you want some wine with that cheese? Hey, Fenton, you want some cheese with that wine? I meant, honk, honk. Hey, Fenton, look out, here comes a car. Honk, honk.
So that whole thing, I don't know what the intention was, but Brendan has a horn. He's holding a horn.
But it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And I wonder if the intention was we're going to dub in the honking sound, but then they realize it's funnier if you hear him say honk honk because it doesn't make any sense.
Well, like the first one, it's like you can hear that Brendan realizes it doesn't work at that point.
Yeah.
Because it's like he squeezes, he's like honk honk.
I guess it's in the animation too. He's like looking at it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
They make it work in the animation. On the commentary, Brendan does say, he's like, I thought that was going to be replaced, but
oh, really? Okay,
then they animated it, and it just looks so much better, and it was funnier that he's saying honk honk out loud.
The reading of it is so good because at parts he's laughing at his own jokes, which is so good.
And this comes back later, and Fenton's not funny.
And it was a great animation gag too of that he framed it all wrong, that him filming himself naked for the joke is weird enough, but then he just films the top of his head from eyeballs up.
He needs Jason and Melissa there, but he can't because he's naked. So we're finally at the party, and Fenton does not like the idea of getting a film video for his birthday.
Brendan, you got me a video film camera for my birthday?
No.
Brendan made a film deal about you for your birthday. That's his gift to you.
A film? That's not a gift. That's a cheap way of getting out of giving me a real gift.
Oh, no, honey.
No, I want a real gift. I want that film video camera.
Sweetie pie.
I want a real gift. It's my birthday. It's my real birthday.
Oh, honey.
It's not a video of my birthday. What the?
I'm going to keep moving on where the food is.
No, why don't you have some of the real food, too? Or why don't we just take a picture of the food and you can take that home with you?
I just wanted you to be happy.
No, I just want the film video camera, Mom.
I know.
Do something.
I'm trying.
Oh my God. This is one of several times he makes his mom cry at this party. Immediately after this, or maybe it's before this, he's talking about he wanted the blue corn tortilla chips,
God.
not the white ones.
I
just wanted the blue corn.
Fenton is such a dick, but he is funny as a dick. He's just like, well, why did you take a picture of the food, huh?
I like how immediately frustrated he gets Mom, do something.
Yeah, he can't even speak. He's so angry.
Yes.
The second he sees somebody has a gift, he's like, well, or they have something. He's like, oh, that's for me, right? And, well, it's not. What the hell? Well, it's supposed to be for me, though. It's something too that dates the show that in multiple episodes, it's that Brendan has this special ability of he can film something with a camera. Nobody else can do that.
And it's definitely like the VHS thing you hook up to the TV. You just stick the cords into the TV to watch the video. So yeah, it's really dating this into the late 90s, early aughts. So up next we get Walter and Perry. They take the show over basically at this point. And again, more Fenton screaming at his mom, and I love how frustrated he gets with them because they're interrupting him yelling at his mom. So let's hear Walter and Perry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No. We're sorry. We're interrupting.
No, that's all right.
No, we're interrupting. Perry, we're interrupting. It's awkward.
He'll be okay.
Sometimes crying is okay, right? Yeah, sometimes
That's
it's
very
good.
healthy.
Yeah.
Why did you boys come in here?
Sometimes, I almost forgot why I came in here.
I did forget.
We were looking for the bathroom.
No,
That's right. The bathroom. Right.
Well, one is down the hall to the right, and there's another one upstairs.
I don't like heights. I'll use the one down here.
Me too, even though I like heights.
You do?
Yes.
I'm scared now.
Me too. Fenton,
Mrs.
sweetie.
Fenton?
Yes?
It's okay, Perry and I go to the bathroom together?
No, one at a time, dear.
Ma, I'm talking.
Yes, I hear you, dear.
Well, stop talking to him. I'm talking.
I'm
Mrs.
not
Fenton?
deaf, sweetie.
Mrs.
Yes,
Fenton?
yes, dear.
Walter?
I'm going to go to the bathroom right now.
No,
Just
Perry,
go. Get out of my... I'm talking to my mom.
There's going to be a bathroom emergency. Perry, don't go to the bathroom.
Hey,
I gotta go. Going
Billy,
right now.
let's
Mrs.
not have an
Fenton, I got a
emergency.
bathroom emergency.
Yeah, I love how like Fenton is so mad. Like Sam Cedar Falls, she's like, "Just go! I'm my mom." It's great.
Oh, yeah,
I don't want to blow out our mics, by the way.
It's just like you can like Walter and Perry are so funny, and I think it really is just like it's Brendan Small and H. John Benjamin just like being silly with each other.
Yeah,
and having fun.
They're seeing how far they can take this like one idea that they're surrounding, and I feel like Walter and Perry. I mean, the joke is that they're two little gay boys, but I feel like you can read it as like they're very supportive of each other. They have a very good friend network.
It's definitely like a positive thing.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
They're happy and they they obviously like love each other really a lot.
Like Martin Prince needs another one of him in his life to like bounce off of. I think he'd be much happier.
It's really two Martin Princes constantly holding hands.
Yeah.
That's who it is. And
just constantly talking.
But they're so in love with each other. They're so supportive. They go everywhere together. They help each other. It's so sweet, but they're also so annoying.
They make all these plans for the future together. Too.
I'm sure if you have that clip, that one at the end.
Oh, I do. That's coming up.
Good.
Yeah.
But I also love Fenton's like, stop talking to them. I'm talking. Those are one of those moments where it does feel like the actor is saying like,
all right.
no, we were having a conversation, like stop. And then of course that only makes Brendan and Benjamin just indulge more and interrupt him more like, oh no,
yeah. Like Fenton immediately starts screaming when one of those like, Mrs. Fenton, he's like, it's mine, I'm talking. Again, I'm just resisting the urge to scream into the microphone because they must have had powerful microphones to have that Fenton screaming into them at that level.
I also love the right before this, the small talk Brendan is having about Star Wars.
So yes,
that's how it feels to be a nerdy person at a party of just like, hey, have you heard of this thing? And they're like, no.
Well, basically, he's like telling him this idea, which is he's telling them episode 1 because he's like, I'm gonna do the third one first, and then and he's just explained to them, and then he's just like, he like leaves them, and he's like, I'm gonna go somewhere else. You kids are dorks.
Yeah, Brendan he has someone lower on the social ladder than him, I guess. But yeah, we are deep in this point in history. We are deep into the episodes. Episode 2 is not out yet. It would be out later that year.
That's
in
right.
May of 2002, right?
God, really thinking about that they exist. This was made in a world where only like 4 Star Wars movies existed.
This is
like,
16 years old. This show.
Wow.
I mean, this episode is 16 years old. The series is almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Yes. So now we start the arc of Jason going through candy hallism. And he's already hit, but he's close to hitting bottom. He'll hit bottom later.
Stop it, Jason. You've had enough. You're embarrassing me.
Stop it, Jason. You've had enough.
You're embarrassing yourself.
You're embarrassing me. You're embarrassing me.
Keep your voice down.
Keep your voice down, Melissa.
My voice is down.
Well, mine's down too, then.
Jason, everyone's staring.
Nobody's staring at me. People are staring at you in your stupid rich bitch dress.
Jason, you've had enough.
I know I've had enough, Melissa, all right? And I certainly haven't had enough. The only thing I've had enough of is you.
I'm just trying to help you.
Oh, my God, help me. Help me, Melissa.
I'll help you, Jason.
More candy, kid?
I gotta go.
I've experienced, well, not firsthand, but I've seen a lot of drunk arguments since this episode is aired, and that's very realistically observed from H. John Benjamin. Like, you're the one who's being loud.
I love the passive aggressiveness of that, but also the logic of his like, you keep quiet, like I am speaking normally, then I am too.
Yeah,
we're both speaking at the same volume then, okay?
This is the conversation I see when people are trying to take keys away from drunk people.
Yeah.
This kind of confrontation happens. I've seen it quite a bit.
It's very real. I love all the times they put Jason and Melissa into domestic situations like this one. Or one of my favorites too is when the Skunk Scouts episode where they're being like door-to-door salesman for their movie, and they're just like, what's a fat baby, Melissa? You pick it up.
So Brendan's film deal is not ready, even though Mrs. Fenton wants to show it. Sorry, her name is Trudy. And Brendan stalls for a long time until he says, no, it's bad. It's a bad video. And then Melissa goes too far into saying it's bad. And Brendan is immediately insecure about the fake badness of the video, which is very cute.
A monkey could do it better. Yes. Oh, also right before this, we got our first... We'd met Adelberg Sr., but this is our first meeting with Junior Adelberg.
Which is just the same voice but pitched up.
The Skunk Scouts are my family. I don't know.
I got this bad. Yeah, I got this bad for getting that bad. And then Brendan's like, well, I joined, but I'd have to be Supreme Skunk Commander or something. You'd have to earn that.
In his description, too, that the Skunk Scouts is, it's a family that all wears the same clothes.
Sort of like a cult. And Brendan strikes out with some girls. I forget what that conversation was about, but none of the women even respond.
Yeah, and then he just spills I got a hole in my lip.
He spills punch on himself. That's right.
Yeah, in the way he goes I gotta go, but I'll be back. And the way the girls have already turned around, but he has to finish it. Says I'll be back.
Yeah, and he does the thing. He makes the birthday suit reference, and he's like, "Oh, good thing I didn't wear my birthday suit."
And then Coach McGurk shows up with a case of Black Hole Brew, which is the Duff beer of the home movies universe, and he says, "Golly jeepers, this sucks."
It's the perfect cut. I think it was a cut to commercial at that point.
Yeah,
too.
it's a great act break.
Yeah.
So great because it tells you McGurk is going to be here now. It's going to be a different bad party when you get back because the coach is finally here. I also like any excuse. H. John Benjamin is best when he's crazy, having to act crazy, but they always have to make up an excuse. On this show, it's this candy addiction, or H. John or McGurk can't sleep; he's got insomnia. Or on Bob's Burgers, he takes too many pain medications. Only really on Archer, they're like, no, Archer's just crazy. He just screams whenever he feels like it.
So after this, we have Fenton opening his gifts.
An eraser?
It looks like a football.
I hope the next present's better. Wow, a soccer ball.
I'm gonna need that back after today.
A CD? You gave me a CD last year.
I did?
Couldn't you think of anything else?
Oh, well, I thought it was...
Cake and ice cream is ready.
Yay!
And Brendan goes back to trying to make Fenton look good, which is impossible. Oh, sorry, Maddie.
Oh no! I love kind of Melissa's always kind of the smarter one with the better ideas, but then you see, of course, she just repeated the same gift as last time.
Yeah, but it was a good gift.
Yeah, it's the best gift there that we saw on display. A football eraser is 30 cents at a dollar store.
And
I love how Jason laughs and he's so excited about it when he opens it.
Well, he says it before he even opens. It's an eraser.
Yeah, he is candy drunk still.
Yeah, well, for 30 cent eraser, he gets to eat $20 of candy.
It's a lot of candy. And finally, Jason has too much, and he blacks out. And this is a very long but hilarious scene.
You blacked out, Jason.
Oh, I didn't.
Yes, it
You're
happened.
not my mother.
Jason, listen to me. You've had enough.
Let's have more gummy bears. That will help.
No more.
Gummy bears will help it.
What are you trying to forget?
I'm not forgetting anything. I'm just... Melissa.
You can't even stand straight.
I can stand fine. Do me a favor.
What?
Just one piece, baby.
Jason, I called you a cab.
Damn it, a little taste. Ain't gonna kill me.
You don't even sound like yourself.
What are you talking about? I sound fine.
You're not fine.
I'm fine. All right, look. Look at me. Look at me.
I'm looking at you, and I don't like what I see.
Melissa, come on. Don't do this. Kiss me. God, come on.
It's the sugar talking. Get off. You're all sticky.
It's okay. It's just candy. Comes out in the wash. Everything does. Listen, look at me in the eye. Melissa, don't do this. For the love of God, I just want one more choo-choo. Please, cake. Please,
Jason,
cake,
this is harder for me than it is for you. Go!
No! No! Let me out! I'll get you for this!
And somehow later he still appears back at the party, unexplained.
He's very determined.
Yeah.
I love that bit. That's one of the times they have to go like, you're 6 in this show. You don't actually want to kiss her. That Melissa was usually better at keeping track of where, like, she would say things like, you're that's the candy talking. You would normally say this. This is weird that you would say a 6-year-old would say this to an 8-year-old.
Yeah, be that sexually aggressive.
Yeah, he's just a great, like, look at me. I am fine. I'm
look
fine.
at me in the eye.
Yeah, it's so great. And that the way that Taxi just pulls away is like, no! And he just magically returns for no reason. It's technically bad writing, but it's great.
It's great to see him under the table, unexpectedly just shoveling candy into his mouth. We get a little bit of play with a clown and McGurk, a magic clown, and McGurk is like just, treading into his territory, and he's like, I'm trying to make $30 here. McGurk says, I'll give you $40 if you leave, and the clown takes him up on it. It was like, McGurk's like, oh, I didn't expect this.
Yeah,
I love when the coach makes a joke offer and somebody's like, okay. He's like, oh,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
And he can't make the soccer ball disappear because it's too big. And then he teaches kids how to gamble with dice. Melissa had to gamble with dice.
Yeah, well, I love that one too. It's like, because she rolls it and he says 4 you lose, and it's actually, if you look at it, it's a 7. So it's like he's just like, whatever. He just wants to take Melissa's $2.
That's a great animation joke there. And I feel like it's even better that she definitely won. He's like, no, I'd rather steal $2 from a child.
Yeah,
he's got to pay for some of that beer. So we're almost at the end. There's a little dance off, and Walter and Perry are back talking about living in a van.
Oh, may I cut in? Of course, Perry. Who's she? I don't know. You lead. Really? Let's both lead. Okay, both lead. Right back here. Come back here. Perry? Yeah. Perry? Yeah. When we get older, yeah, let's live together. Okay. We'll get a van. A van? A van? A van. We live in it. Yeah. And we'll call it the Walter and Perry van. And inside it'll be beautiful, like a beautiful house. That'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be so cool. We could drive in our own house, Perry. We could drive inside of it. We'd have a house that we could drive. So you have to take your shoes off.
And that's the first time I think we actually hear the lyrics of the birthday song, but we never hear it isolated. But it's an insane song that feels improvised.
Birthday is a doodly doo.
Yeah.
A ding dong doodly doo. I mean, it sounds like Metalocalypse, right?
It really does. Yeah. You can see where he would go from there.
Brendan Small loves a doodly doo as the filler line. I never fully listened to that song until the 4th season came out on DVD that had the CD soundtrack.
Yeah.
Right, which is great.
And so I listened to it a million times, and it became within our friend group like a birthday song to play, or you'd email or Facebook post that birthday song to the person.
And it's way longer than you would ever think it would be. And throughout this entire episode, I noticed, because I know the birthday song now, like there's the instrumental version playing in every scene of the party.
It's a lot like that. In other episodes, we'll do the same thing. Like the Wizard's Baker, which has that song. And then that's the Skunk Scout episode. So when he's going up to get the reward, they're playing an instrumental version of the Wizard's Baker, which is really great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny when Brendan normally does all these goofball things that are just like a doodly doo, but then if he feels like it's like, no, that's just beautiful music. He just wrote a very nice sounding song. Things like this Walter and Perry scene. One, it's funny to just hear these two. It's a very sweet way to have two straight guys play giggly gay guys together.
Yeah, it's so positive, and they're so excited, and just like, it's gonna be beautiful inside, like a beautiful house.
and also this show, though, in later episodes they'd have more like B, C, and even D plots to kind of fill it out. But this one, there really is only one A plot of like, they go to the party. It's the party. So they kind of need more goofabouts with characters like Walter and Perry to fill time. Though it works great.
Yeah,
it does really work great. So ultimately, Brendan makes a video called Fenton Is, and here is the first part of it.
Today is Fenton Muley's birthday. 8 years on the planet. But the question is, who is Fenton Muley? I mean, Fenton sounds like the name of a drug you take to get rid of a rash or something. Hong Kong?
Not that funny.
But I kid. Let's have a look and see who Fenton really is. Fenton is thoughtful.
Do you like my new sweater?
Is it supposed to be ugly?
Fenton is generous.
It's mine.
I just want to look at it.
I don't care. It's mine. Don't look at it.
Walter, where are you?
Fenton is grateful.
It's not great at all. I want pony rides.
Renting a pony was too expensive, Fenton. Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. I want pony rides this year.
But the magician was supposed to be your big...
socks, Mom.
Fenton.
You know what, Mom?
He made his mom cry like 5 times at this party.
He's so awful. Well, and too, it's like at the beginning of the video, it's like Brendan's like filming the photos of Fenton on the wall. And they're just like, they're all really weird. Like one of them, he has like an eye patch, but it's like a school photo and he has an eye patch. And then one, he's like kind of like wrestling a stuffed animal away from like a girl. And one of them, he's like sitting on top of a dog. And they're all just like, you know, Fenton is like just such an awful person. And like they can't even capture a nice moment in a photo.
There are no like even singular moments where he's redeemable, even in a photo.
Right.
No, and then within like an hour of filming stuff, Fenton has done all these things.
Yeah.
Just right in front of the camera. And
I like the bullying of Perry because they should not be separated. It's like, Walter, where are you?
Walter, that's great. Walter, where are you?
I want to think that like they had to go to the bathroom separately, and that's when that happened in the timeline of this party. I'm overthinking this.
The Brendan loves his Fenton sounds like a drug you take for a rash so much. He's like, you know what? I'm going to say it again in this new version.
Not that funny. So Fenton is not a fan of Fenton is.
You spied on me! You made a stupid video film of me, you jerk, Brendan Small! Nobody likes me because of you! Hey, don't leave! The party's not over!
Go ahead.
Okay, fine, leave, see if I care!
Fenton, honey, Brendan didn't get to the story about you and him.
You know what, Mom?
What, honey?
It's all your fault!
Oh, honey.
You ruined my party!
I didn't.
Everybody hates me because of you!
Sorry.
Fenton, shut up! All right, shut up! And you stop your weaselly little crying! Now apologize to your mother and then apologize to everyone else here at the party.
What?
Now!
I'm sorry.
That's better.
Mr. McGurk, would you like a cup of coffee?
Sure. That sounds great. You can call me John.
John.
Mrs. Muley.
Call me Trudy.
Well, Trudy, would you like to punch me in the stomach?
I sure would.
But what about my party?
Go to your room, Fenton.
What?
Now.
Earlier, Coach McGurk was asking the kids to punch him in the stomach as if that was one of Houdini's tricks, and that's actually how Houdini died, by being punched in the wrong way.
Yeah, I actually, I read about it, but apparently he was, lying on a couch and, probably had appendicitis.
Oh,
so kind of,
it popped.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
gross.
punch, yeah. I also, his line before that, when he starts telling people to punch him in the stomach, he says, not just Houdini. Get it? Whenever Coach says, get it, I'm just like, yeah, we get it. And this was the first time McGurk's cruelty paid off, because this was the one time, Fenton was so awful, he needed some tough love, as they say. Not many people need it, but Fenton in that moment was just being too awful.
Yeah, I mean, compared to Fenton, McGurk looks like an angel. Maddie, please.
Yeah, and I like how this episode sort of leads into the season. The first episode of season 3, which is the one with the sleepover, and Brendan accidentally records Trudy Muley naked when he's trying to escape the house, and then he gives it to McGurk, and McGurk's trying to make a website for it, and he's in FentonsNakedMom.com, which is an actual website that you can go to. It advertises the DVDs or something.
Wow.
So it's. Yeah.
I guess if you make a fake website in the show, you need to own it forever, or else it will become a porn site or something. Something like that. Yeah.
That was a joke on Conan O'Brien a long time ago. They made some joke about manateesex.com, and then he was alerted by the NBC lawyers well, we have to buy this website.
Yeah.
Now. You can't just say a website name.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah. I wonder, though, do you think the coach closed the deal with Trudy Muley?
Boy, I hope not.
I don't think Coach McGurk can close the deal with anyone.
Yeah. He had it at the wedding episode at the end of the season. He had it signed, sealed, and delivered with that friend of Paula's, and he just got scared. He's like, no, I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, which probably is a sign that he's not used to being intimate. So, when a woman is actually yes, it's oh no, what do I do now?
So this episode ends. I captured the entire thing because it's very sweet and rambly, and I like the music behind it. It kind of sounds like Built to Spill, but it is Brendan Small. You can see how versatile he is, but it's just them walking off and reflecting on the party and thinking of ideas for their movie they're still thinking about making.
What a day.
What a party.
I guess, Brenda and Melissa, I owe you guys an apology for my inappropriate behavior.
It's okay.
Don't worry about it.
Forget it.
Good. Do you think Kenton's really going to have pony rides next year?
Only one way to find out.
Nice gift to Fenton, by the way.
Hey, Brendan, do you know what would have been better?
What?
If there had been some special effects in there.
It could have been better, but I didn't have time.
Well, I'm just saying.
Hey, I was just thinking, what if Jason jumps off a bridge onto a moving bus?
And then me and you fight on top of the bus.
And then I kick out a window on the bus and I climb on top?
Right. Totally.
No. I got it. We climb up a telephone pole and fix the line.
Fix the telephone pole.
Right.
It's not really so action-packed.
Yeah.
Very dangerous.
I do like that. I like where that's going a lot.
Because then we can wear those hats.
Oh.
And the belts. Or we climb up the telephone pole, Brendan, and Melissa gets electrocuted.
Hey.
And jump onto a helicopter, and then Melissa gets split in half.
Why is something bad always happening to me?
It's funnier when it happens to the girl.
That's the end of the episode. It plays off with that very, very nice music.
Oh,
yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know if that, how that might have been like improv between all of them, because it's all just kind of like, yeah, it's rambly, but it is. It's really nice. And I just love how Jason's whole movie idea is because he like wants to wear the hats and the belts that the guys who fix the telephone poles wear.
He's got some dreams.
That's the beginning and end of his plan there. It's like, well, I want to wear that costume. That's all it is. I love whenever they're mean to Melissa too. It's fun. And the visual too. Like I don't want to be too mean to the animation in this show. Because when it looks great, it does look great. Like this sunset and the pan up to the sky is really pretty.
Yeah.
As is the like shadowed Walter and Perry skipping away together.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, so this is a really good episode you chose, Maddie. It really kind of like is very emblematic of what the show is and who all the characters are, and everyone is there except for like Ron Lynch's character, Mr. Lynch, John Katz's character. There's a few people missing, but all the main players are here and they're interacting with each other. And if you've never heard of home movies before, hopefully we turned you on to it. Any final thoughts, Maddie, after revisiting it in this format? I'm just curious.
No, it's just like it's just kind of hard not to like want to talk about every other episode ever because it's so great. But yeah, I think it is, like you said, it's really emblematic of the series, and you get a good idea of all the characters and just how wonderful their interactions with each other are.
Yeah, and in case you're wondering, the DVDs are out, and like all DVDs for TV series, they're all really cheap, and you can probably get them used really cheap.
Well, and they also because recently, like a few weeks ago, they just did a marathon on Twitch, Shout Factory. So they did like a 3-day marathon of all the episodes, and I think it was kind of promoting the re-release of the DVDs. So you can get like it's a box set of all 4, and it's reasonably priced.
And the commentaries are so good, and the extras are so good.
The extras are so good. There's like an audio extra. I think it's like 45 minutes long, and it's just audio, but it's just like kind of them riffing and kind of just parts that didn't get put in. And a lot of the H. John Benjamin ones are really funny. There's there's like a 2-minute or 2 or 3 minute where he's just like talking about like what kind of animal he would be, and it's so good.
There's another great extra on there I just remembered of. It's them doing an interview, which they just used in one of the other featurettes, but Lauren Bouchard was hung over the entire time, and he is starting to feel like he might throw up, and he just puts a garbage can in front of him. And then John Benjamin goes like, you can't do this. Just go to the bathroom if you're going to. But what, are you going to throw up into a can on camera? Just let's go over there.
I remember that. Yeah, these were made in the sort of golden age of DVD extras, so you'll see baby pranks and
it's just there's just like tons of random stuff. Like some of it isn't even like related to home movies, but it's great.
Yeah, it's all from these people that you love. But
watching this again made me rewatch a ton more on Hulu.
And
I
they're
may
on
as well
Hulu?
do a little plug here. By the way. If you don't have a Hulu subscription, you can sign up at tiny.cc/TSHulu for a 30-day free trial, and a little bit of money gets kicked back to your buddies at What a Cartoon.
Hey, that's one of me. I'm one of those guys. Yes, and Hulu is great, by the way. You know that.
Really
I subscribe to it.
Yeah, I'm not just saying this to get money from it.
Yeah, I love Comcast, the owners of Hulu. So thanks for listening, everybody. I want to talk to Maddie first, who's our special guest visiting us. Maddie, tell us about what you do. You've got a Patreon. It's great. I want to hear about it. Tell our listeners all about it.
So my Patreon you can find at patreon.com/OhThat'sRaspberry, and for $5 a month you get an exclusive postcard print in the mail. It rotates between doing a cartoon, a video game, and an anime theme every month. You get a vote on the theme, and then you get a postcard. It's pretty fun. If you do $10 a month, you also get a drawing on the back. And you can also find me on Twitter, twitter.com/O that's raspberry. And I post a lot of my drawings there all the time. Like I said, it's like 90% One Piece at this point.
It's great.
I think I tried to hold back at some point, but then eventually it just like One Piece everywhere. But also I did like a Cartoon Planet one recently. And so like other things will get in there. But yeah, and there's also, if you go to my Twitter, my links for like my Ko-fi and some other things are on there too.
Cool. And what is your Patreon address?
It's patreon.com/Oh That's Raspberry, but that one is spelt with an O-H.
Got it. I want to make sure people know. And I am a $10 subscriber, and they've been great so far.
Thank you.
All the original drawings are great. The postcards are great. They're on display on my desk. They're great.
And so far, I've done Ace Attorney, Fooly Cooley, and Futurama's the latest one. So
I also love your Twitter handle is a reference to the King Size Homer episode, and one of your first drawings you put up on Twitter, at least, was Homer in multiple costumes, but him in the moo-moo with his fat guy hat and the cape eating the raspberry ice cream cone.
That's still like my banner header for my Twitter account.
It's so adorable. Just go to her Twitter just to see that picture on the banner. It's so cute.
And then click follow.
Yeah, and I also have a shop too, so you can find there's like a bookmark of that, and I've done like Poochie stickers, and I have a set of Itchy and Scratchy and Friends show. Itchy and Scratchy and Friends Hour, I think it was called.
Yes.
With so there's a sticker set coming out soon. So it's Itchy Scratchy, Disgruntled Goat, Ku Klux Klan, and Uncle Ant. So.
I'm gonna get all of those. I've got your Mo pin and I've got your Poochie sticker.
I got the Mo pin as well, Barnyard Mo.
It's good stuff. So yeah, check out Maddie's stuff. It's great, and she's been a great guest, and she's come to our live shows too. So we're a big family here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh yeah,
thank you.
And as for us, we've got a Patreon too. We're not competing with you, Maddie. It's a dog eat dog world.
Get out of my territory.
We're doing a different product. So yes, if you go to our Patreon, by the way, the entire network is supported by our Patreon. It's been very great for us. We can do so many good things. If you want to help out, you can get some great stuff for yourself. So if you go to patreon.com/Talking Simpsons at the $5 level, it's our most popular level. It's the podcast special level where you can get every episode of this podcast a week ahead of time and ad free. And we also have Talking Simpsons. If you subscribe at the $5 level at our Patreon, you get that podcast a week ahead of time and ad free, just like this. And there is so much stuff happening at that $5 level. If you've never subscribed and you sign up now, you will literally be hearing hundreds of podcasts, maybe slightly over 100 podcasts that you've never heard before. Things like Talking Futurama, the entire first season of Futurama done with this format. Talking Critic, all of the Critic done in this format. We also have things like season wrap-ups for Talking Simpsons, deleted scenes from season 5 onward, interviews with people like Mike Scully, David Silverman, Dan Graney,
Nell Scoville
we just did, yes.
Because if you liked our episode about Space Ghost we just did, we even chat with her about writing an episode of Space Ghost, or the classic Urges.
Yes, and we talked to Bill Oakley twice. We have a monthly community podcast where we answer your questions, talk about what's going on in the world of The Simpsons in relevant times. I think that's basically everything, Henry, right? And there's a $10 level too.
Yeah, and at the $10 level, you get access to our monthly video where we do a special little video thing each month. We have gone through the entire Tracy Ullman shorts run. We have watched and commented on all of them. So if you want Simpsons completeness, watch those and you'll have seen every aired Simpsons television thing in chronological order up to the episode we're doing. And also, we did the entire first season of Talking Simpsons.
That's right,
our
3 years ago.
Stuff. Yeah, it's only on there and you can listen to it there too. And yeah, and also you can follow me on Twitter, HENEREYG, where for updates when all that new stuff goes live on the Patreon or on the free feed.
Yeah, again, check it out. It's patreon.com/Talking Simpsons. And I've been your host, Bob Mackey. Find me on Twitter as Bob Servo, and check out my other podcast, Retronauts. It's a classic gaming podcast. It's been going on since the beginning of podcast history. We've done so much, so please check it out if you're into video games. I'm sure you'll find something there you like. Thank you so much for joining us. So we'll see you next time for the Freakazoid episodes. Next time, Phone Ahead and Nerdadur. We'll see you then.
Coach McGurk, I was just wondering, how come they canceled the game after 10 minutes?
Well, because we were losing by 20 goals, Melissa. It's called the slaughter rule. You know, Melissa, if we played the full game, we probably would have lost by 100 goals. I don't know why I'm saying we. I wasn't out there running around like it was the first time I ever used my legs. Melissa.
Okay.
You know, it's like when they stop a boxing match because the guy's bleeding too much, you know, all cut up. Only this was worse. I mean, fractured jaws get wired shut. Broken noses become badges of courage. Melissa.
Okay.
But to lose by 20 goals in 10 minutes is... No, forget it. You played a good game.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.